Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stop and think how just answering "I'm fine" when someone asks could actually make you more susceptible, more open to influence? Today we're doing a deep dive into this really kind of surprising psychological thing. It's called the foot in the mouth effect. And honestly, what the research shows is pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, so this idea, it popped up first in 1990. There was a study by a psychologist, Daniel J. Howard, and his main experiment, it sounds almost too simple. Researchers basically went up to people, on the street and just started with, "Hi, how are you?" The usual thing. But here's where it gets wild. They found that the people who gave a positive answer, like "I'm good" or "doing great," that sort of thing, they were way more likely to agree when asked to do something else right after, like donate to a charity. Just think about that. A simple "I'm good" kind of paving the way for yes later on.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And the why behind it is what's really compelling. I mean, on the surface, it just feels like, well, normal politeness, right? But when you answer that question, that "how are you?" even though it seems totally trivial, you actually start like a tiny social bond. It's a mild form of commitment. Very subtle, almost, unconscious. But it taps into this basic human drive we have for consistency. Once you've said something positive, even just "I'm fine," it makes it psychologically harder to just turn around and say no immediately after.
Huh. A mild form of commitment. That sounds almost a bit manipulative, doesn't it? Can you unpack that a bit more? Like, why is it so hard to just say no after that? Is it really just about seeming consistent?
Well, it feels like more than just politeness, even if that's part of it. When you say "I'm good," you're not just, stating a fact about your mood. You're sort of implicitly confirming a positive social image. And that seems to trigger psychological principles, things like self-perception theory or our need for cognitive consistency. Our brains basically like our actions to match up with what we say.
Okay, so you said you're good.
Exactly. So if you've just declared yourself good or doing well, then refusing a simple, reasonable request right after that, it creates this little internal clash, dissonance, psychologists call it. It feels like you're contradicting the positive vibe you just put out there. I mean, I've noticed it in myself. You get a call, they ask how you are, you automatically say, "Fine, thanks." And then, you feel this tiny pull to actually listen to whatever they're selling, even if you know better. It's a surprisingly strong unconscious nudge.
Okay, but couldn't someone just argue, look, answering "how are you" it's just basic manners, social grease. Are we maybe reading too much into it, turning simple etiquette into some kind of psychological lever?
That's a really important point, and it's precisely why this effect is so effective and often just flies under the radar. It absolutely is basic etiquette. That's the beauty of it from a persuasion perspective. The effect isn't really about the politeness itself. It's about how that initial, totally normal, polite exchange can then be used. It can be leveraged.
Okay, so the line is crossed when...
The line's crossed when the greeting isn't just about building rapport, but it's actually step one in a sequence designed to get you to comply later. It's about being aware, that this first little yes or this positive statement about yourself can actually predispose you, make you less critical, maybe, of the actual request that follows. You're not judging it purely on its own merits anymore.
Wow. Okay, so yeah, that seemingly harmless little exchange really does set the stage. And this is where it gets really interesting for me, how this plays out in the real world. Because this isn't just some weird lab finding, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. It's everywhere once you start looking for it. This kind of subtle technique is, well, it's baked into so many common situations. Think about marketing calls, sales pitches you get in person or online, even telemarketing. How do they often start?
"Hi, how are you today?" Or "Hope you're having a good day." Yeah.
Exactly. And it's usually not just idle chit-chat. It's often a deliberate strategy, an opener designed to get that little bit of positive engagement, that mild commitment we talked about. It really makes you think, doesn't it, about the hidden dynamics in even the smallest, most everyday social interactions. Are you saying yes because you genuinely want to, or because, unconsciously a tiny social agreement has already been made?
So what does all this mean for you listening? Well, maybe next time someone asks, "How are you?" Just take a tiny pause. Think twice. It might seem like nothing, but it could just be the very first, very subtle step towards getting you to say yes to something much bigger down the line.